All right, welcome back. In a previous lesson, we looked at how to debug plain old vanilla JavaScript applications. So we learned some cool little tips and techniques on how to debug JavaScript using Chrome's DevTools. So what I want to do is kind of apply some of that same logic here in a Vue application, as well as look at the Vue DevTools in case you haven't had a chance to play around with them. So here I have one of our to-do applications. If you have gotten to it already, that's great. If not, don't worry about it. Let's just kind of pay attention to the debugging aspect of this. So I have this application running already. And if we were to go over to the browser, here it is, just a daily routine with some checkboxes. And we can go ahead and check something, and it will be crossed off, and this little circle over here will be checked as well. So I'm going to refresh that. And what I want to do is I want to do some debugging here. I'm trying to figure out like something's going wrong and I'm not sure what. So one thing is you can always come into the DevTools. So again, you can right click and inspect, or here on the Mac, I'm going to say Option Command I and pull up the DevTools. So if you go over to console and we refresh this, if you have the Vue DevTools, if you don't have the Vue DevTools installed, it will tell you to install them. The first time you come to this app, it'll say, hey, you do have the Vue DevTools installed. Go ahead and check them out. So if you go into the DevTools, you can see this is our main app component. So our app component doesn't have any data or anything going on. But we drill down into it and we know that our main app component has a to-do list component. So if we click on the to-do list, we can now see the instance data for that to-do list. And we see an array here of 12 items. So if we were to drill into each of these items, we can see each of the properties for this object, and we can go ahead and change them if we wanted to. So we could say, go ahead and complete the first one. And you see it crosses it off there. We could also come in here and append a new one if we wanted to. We're not gonna, just to save some time, but you could. So that's the DevTools. Obviously, once you get larger applications, this becomes a lot more crucial, especially if we start using something like Vuex and then event handling. You can do some nice debugging in here with that. So that's the DevTools. But what I want to show now is, oh, there's that one. So it detected the Vue DevTools, and here's the Vue version. So I believe a few, I don't know. All right. So if we go back to our application, remember in the vanilla JavaScript example we showed, we set some debug breakpoints and we jumped into the Chrome debugger and we were able to kind of inspect our application to see what was going on. So we can do the same thing here. So what if I wanted to kind of break here on this line and say, and view to see if my array index was doing the right thing. So we know from the previous example that we did that we can go over to Chrome and go over to sources, and we could find our the file that we're looking for. But this time there's a whole lot more going on. As we know, there's a whole lot more files and folders within our application here. So I know that just because I've done this before, that I know that it's usually under Webpack. So if I go to Webpack, I can see my to-do list. Again, if you don't want to drill down, you can always do Command P. You can start typing and you can see that to-do list come up. So now that we have our to-do list here, what I want to do is I want to put a breakpoint here on line 39. So I could see that when I click this, I can see what the array index is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and so 0, 1, this should be 1. So when I click this, I go over here and here's our array index of 1. So that's pretty good. So we can hit resume. I'm going to hit this. And we're back here and our array index is 2. So now I can even add in some more breakpoints. So now let's say I want to check to see what the event.target.type is. So I can add a watcher in here and event.target.type is empty. So if I resume and we go again, nothing there. But now if I check using the checkbox, I can see my event target type is checkbox. So again, just another way that you can start to debug your applications. You combine the Vue DevTools with the ability to place breakpoints and inspect all of your different variables and watch variables and view events that are happening. This gives you a lot of power to kind of debug your applications. So I hope this helped. Oh, and just want to mention one other thing. You can, as part of the Vue extension, do some debugging in here as well. I got it set up. I ran it. It kind of runs just like the vanilla JavaScript example does. So you can go ahead and place a breakpoint in here. But again, at the end of the day, it's using Chrome. So you're going to get a lot of the same things that the Chrome debugger gives you. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I like being in Chrome. Because then I can kind of hover over something and jump to that element if I need to. But I just want to make you aware that if you want to stay within Visual Studio Code, because of that Vue extension, there is a way to kind of do your debugging in here as well. So I think that's it. I hope this little tutorial on debugging your Vue applications helped. And with that, let's go ahead and move on.